So today I wanted to share this with you all. Here on the left, I have uh, the latest Baroness to be released. This was released with the Transformers His Tank Megatron crossover. And on the right, I have a new O-ring style Baroness figure. Now this is 3D printed. It's actually printed on an FDM printer, the Bamboo A1 Mini, using a 0.2 nozzle. And the files were created by Cult's 3D user Apples and Rice. I'll put a link to that in the description below if you want to check it out. But yeah, so this one actually just came off the print. The last parts just came off the printer. I assembled it real quickly. And I gotta say, looking at both, I really like this. This looks a lot better than the original. Well, this is actually not the original. This is the reissue because it has that new pop-in arms instead of this being two pieces. But yeah, here they are side by side. Now there are some issues with my print. There's parts that I'm gonna have to reprint, mainly this leg. I took it out of the printer way too soon because I was too excited that it was still warm and it kind of deformed. I didn't give it time to cool, so a couple of things I got to print, and there's a bit more things that I want to do with this. This is actually my very first attempt at printing this in FDM, and there are some things I'd like to change, but let's just look at them side by side now. Oop, this one fell. This 3D printed one is taller, but you can see she has heels. So I think if it was a little raised, it'd be almost, still a little taller. The proportions on this, to me, are way better. And really what a modern O-ring figure should look like. Now this was, to me, this is probably was acceptable in the 80s, but you know, it's been 40 years. Now, I know some people are gonna say, yeah, 40 years and you're still wanting to use the O-ring design. I don't know. It is contradictory, but I do like the O-ring design a lot. I don't know why. But yeah, so kind of cool to see them side by side. I wish this is what Super 7 would put out with their new O-ring line. A couple of differences with the original and this 3D print. There is a ball joint. Not a ball joint, but the head is on a ball for more articulation. Mine's one is a little bit loose. I may have removed too much support off of this and may have to thicken it up a bit. The original is well, there's barely any head movement because of the hair, but yeah. And then some design changes, like you can see she has a holster for a pistol on the side here. So I think it looks really cool. Apples and Rice does really amazing work on O-rings, and every time he releases something, it's an instant buy for me, just because, with the A1 Mini, I can print it in full color. And let me just bring this a little closer so you can see. Now, as you get closer to it, you can tell it is 3D printed, but just the fact that this came out in full color is pretty amazing, and the quality is not that bad. I mean, for an FDM, I think it came out pretty well. I gotta heat that up to remove those little whisks. Now, the only issue I have is it's hard to make out the eyes because the glasses are a little low, but it's there. I painted it in Bamboo Studio. Maybe it'd be cool if he released the file without the glasses or the glasses separate. I think I would get a nicer print because, being that it's all one piece, it's kind of like she's wearing goggles more than glasses. If I could get a separate file for the glasses, I could, modify it and then make it look actually a little more like glasses. But I think the overall paint on it came out pretty good. Here's the back of it. Now, like I said, if you look closely, you can tell it is FDM printed. But there is something I plan to do with this file, or not this, after I print it. I'm going to probably do one more print because there's other things that I need to fix. Like one, it doesn't stand well because of the heels. I may modify it so that the file so that it looks a little more flat like this, or it just adds more surface on the bottom, because I did add these holes, the peg holes, but it doesn't catch well on some bases. So that's one thing I may do. Another modification I did was, you know, with a lot of the modern O-ring figures, they do have wrist articulation. So I've been messing around with giving her wrist articulation by just making a little peg here that it can go in. I do have to tweak it a little bit more because, as you can see, it does tend to drop a bit. I don't know if I'll tweak it or I'll just add some UV resin to tighten it up so that it doesn't drop. But I really wanted to add wrist rotation because it does help with holding of weapons. So that's probably one little change I'll do. Again, this is my first attempt printing it, and I think it came out pretty well for the first attempt, with the exception of this. You just got to be a bit more patient. And then I do need to try and fix the feet, because without a stand, it won't, at least what I printed won't stand. Now, that's not to say the file is bad. This file is made for resin printers. It's not it wasn't designed with FDM in mind. So there's a lot of things that I had to kind of tweak just to make it work on my FDM printer. And to me, like, getting it on FDM, you know, I do have a resin printer, but it's just the post-processing, and I think the full color really works well. And like I said, if the glasses were separate, I could probably get this kind of detail out. So this is also by Apples and Rice, his version of Scarlet, where I did paint the head. Let me see if I can focus on this, because yeah, but you can see that detail when I painted it. Now, I do plan to do something like this. You can see here, I did put a thin coat, and I think I could go a little thinner, of UV resin. I'm still messing around with getting the right ratio down, because UV resin is a little thick, but you can thin it down with some alcohol. But the goal I'm trying to do is trying to make the layer lines as invisible as possible. So this one was done as well with some UV resin, just messing around with the ratios, just to show you how the original look. This is from working on a Scarlet body, and it kind of does give it that shine, plastic shine of a toy, which is kind of neat. But yeah, just a little project of mine. I'm just pretty amazed how far you can go with FDM. But the design that Apples and Rice did with Baroness looks awesome. I mean, you know, just side by side, this is yeah, this looks like it came from the 80s. This looks like an O-ring made today, and just got to tweak it a little bit more. So yeah, I think it'll work for my collection. I know there's someone that sells these printed, and I'll try to find it. It's on Etsy. I actually bought some prints from him. Yeah, I'll go put a link in the description below if you want the file printed. You're just gonna have to paint it yourself. To me, I used to paint miniatures, and it's a lot harder for me to paint now, especially the fine details. So having the printer do the details really helps out a lot. Anyway, that is it for this video. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below, and thanks for watching.